Good morning. Dan Delmar in for Elias. He is back tomorrow. Do you talk to strangers? I can't say that I do a lot, but it has some very clear psychological benefits. And next month, a Toronto company is trying to get behind this movement called National Talk to a Stranger Week. It's supposed to be from November 24th to the 30th. And joining us now is the CEO of GenWell, who's behind this project, Pete Bombaci. Hello, Pete.
Hi, Dan. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Why did you have a company, I guess, that does workshops, training in educational institutions, seminars, DEI, stuff like that. Why did you take an interest in the power of strangers connecting?
Well, it's Dan. We're actually a registered charity in Canada. This is all about making the world a happier and healthier place, one face-to-face conversation at a time. We've been around since 2016, working to do just that for 41 million Canadians, helping us all recognize that during these turbulent times that we see, post-pandemic and in the world around us, that we need each other more than ever before. And when it comes to talking to strangers, although we've told people for 50 years not to do it, the research tells us that those who do it tend to be happier, and I can give you stats there, but it increases optimism, trust, sense of safety, security, inclusion, belonging. Just about everything that we as a human being crave in our lives comes when we actually open ourselves to having those conversations with strangers.
So do you find that, especially since the pandemic, are we more wary of strangers? Are we more antisocial?
Yeah, I think I always use the analogy, if you don't go to the gym for a couple of years, how does it feel when you go back to the gym? And I think many people are on, a broad spectrum of comfort levels in getting back into human interaction. And I have heard many people say, I'm more of an introvert now post-pandemic. And that's fine to understand that, maybe you don't think or don't need connection as much. But what we need to recognize is that, when we build healthy connection habits in our lives, it prevents many illnesses, but it also increases happiness, reduces anxiety and depression, increases empathy, compassion, resilience, strengthens our immune system. All these things we've told people for 50 years to exercise, eat well, sleep, drink water, but we never really articulated just how important these connections are.
How important are they to someone's day-to-day life? Is there any science, for instance, on the immediate benefits of having an interaction with a stranger?
Well, I think it's connecting with a stranger is just part of what we call social health. So connecting with a stranger, those who do it just once a week are up to 3 times happier than those who don't talk to strangers. And the research actually shows, Dan, that it's almost 100% of the time that when we do talk to a stranger, that both parties are happy that it happened. So we've told people in this country, unfortunately, not to do it for 50 years because we've focused on the 1 or 2 bad incidents. And really what we're talking about is, maybe it's a neighbor that's 5 doors up the street. Maybe you're in a coffee shop. Maybe it's talking to the barista. Maybe you're at the grocery store, at the gym. Let's all make time to build these connections at a time when we feel at times more politically divided, more segmented by various different ways in which the world wants to look at us. But at the end of the day, we all have far more in common than what differentiates us.
Indeed. In the report I'm reading here in the Toronto Sun, they talk about a man named Tony Estevez. Not sure if he's with your group, but he was admitted in the story that he was depressed in 2016, and then he decided to set this goal to talk to one new stranger every single day, and he says it pulled me out of depression.
Yeah, well, Tony is an amazing Canadian who's out there working to build a more connected Canada, talking to strangers. And honestly, I think it's these insights about people being happier that talk to strangers. It's recognizing that, almost 100% of the time, both people are happy that it happens. When we've told people not to do something for 50 years, is it a surprise that we don't do it? So what we're trying to do as Canada's Human Connection Movement, people can find out more at genwell.ca, is really help give people the information and the insights that will drive them to behavior changes that will make them happier, healthier, live longer, and frankly, make the world that we live in a better place for everyone.
And also a side note for the single dudes, especially out there, in this story, Tony, he says, and he kept meticulous track of all these strangers he was talking to. So Tony says that on day 305, he met a young woman, a musician, and they went on to date for 8 years. So, flirting is also part of talking to strangers.
Hey, well, we know that the younger generations are, going to bars less, doing lots of things less, and this may just be one way that we can open ourselves up. And again, I'm funny enough, I'm sitting in a parking lot in a school having the interview, and we hear about the struggles that young people are having in building those healthy connections that help them grow up and be successful human beings. And I think this is one thing that we need every young person just to be more conscious of, so that they can be intentional about saying hello to even their classmates, let alone when they get out into the broader society.
What are you hearing from students in terms of the impact of the pandemic on them? My wife works in speech and language, and significant disruptions in terms of how a lot of young kids are able to socialize in the past few years.
Yeah, it's interesting, Dan. When we started this movement back in 2016, everybody thought it was a seniors movement. And then the pandemic came, and then everybody thought it was a young person's movement. And I know a lot of the studies are showing that the younger generations are the ones that are facing, an even greater challenge when you've got phone and technology, hyper-competitiveness. There's more challenges today for a young person than there's ever been before. But the solution is not just telling young people to put the phone down and smarten up. The solution is about all of us being conscious about the role that we can play. If you have a young person in your life, if you know a young person, if it's a neighbor's kid, each of us can step up and be part of the solution by giving them a different thing to do for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, shoot some hoops, go for a walk, have a coffee, take them for an ice cream cone. The solution to our disconnected world should not be one where we wait till people have a crisis before we react. And each of us, when it comes to social health, we can't do it alone. So we need people to engage with each other, and whether it's talk to strangers or knock on your neighbor's door, whether it's creating activities. This weekend is GenWell weekend, a weekend when we want to inspire 41 million Canadians to think about who could I get connected with. All of it's about really helping young people, old people, and everyone in between, because we're all struggling with the disconnected world that we're in today.
One text I'd like you to address just on the way out. The texter says, well, easy if you're an extrovert, right? What about, I'm an introvert too. I'm not super chatty. What's your advice to introverts?
Well, first off, we need to recognize that the research tells us that introverts need connection as much as extroverts do. It's not like we go through life without people in our lives and we're fine. It's just we have some criteria as an introvert. We want to do it in smaller groups. We may need it less often, and we might want to do it in a place where we feel comfortable. So we just need to understand how introverts need to connect. And when it comes to strangers, I'm not telling you, Dan, that you need to have an hour-long conversation with somebody that you met on a bus. It could be a nod. It could be a smile. It could be a wave. These little interactions, by research, make us all happier and healthier. So even if you're an introvert, take a small action that will actually make you feel that sense of connection. But I'm not committing you to an hour-long conversation with somebody that you just met 1 minute ago.
All right. Talk to strangers. Pete Bombaci, CEO of GenWell. Thanks so much, Pete. Great conversation.
Hey, Dan. Thanks very much for the time.
My pleasure. Texter's loving that interview, by the way. We'll try to post it on the web later if you missed it.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.